Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are super excited to be reacting to The Blessing performed by Carrie Jobe and Cody Carnes. This is their original performance where they did it with elevation worship, and obviously this is old news, but it's just a classic and it's so empowering and impactful to worship music and worship culture, but also there's some really good singing, which is what we're going to focus on in this video today. We are Chase and Melia if you happen to be new, and we are voice teachers, we are singers, we are worship leaders, and we love taking videos of professionals doing what they do best and breaking it down to help you guys in whatever you're using your voice for, whether that's just singing or worship leading. We want to learn from these professionals, so we hope that we can help enlighten you so you guys can sing better as well.
Something we want to acknowledge before we start breaking this down is that singing and worship leading are two different things. We know that. We hope that you know that. We believe that worship leading is something greater, and we like to focus on singing as it serves worship leading.
Yes.
So we are experts in singing, and so we're going to be breaking down singing techniques and different things that we are hearing.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, we want to acknowledge that leading worship is not just a performance. It's not just singing.
Absolutely.
But if you sing really well, it can help you lead worship.
Absolutely. So we're going to stop and pause and be talking and commenting on their singing and what we are hearing and thinking about technique from that perspective. So let's get started.
Absolutely.
This morning.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.
Now I know he's going to sing that again because obviously this isn't the first time we've heard it, but I do want to talk about...
You already crying?
No, I'm not crying.
Oh, okay.
No, I've turned it off.
Heartless.
No, heartless. I want to talk about, so this is, I'm going to go right into it. We're getting right into it. Okay, first thing. I know a little bit of background about Cody Carnes. I know that he was not a vocalist first because I've heard him talk about that. I've heard him talk about being an instrumentalist first and then becoming a singer. And I know he's taken lessons. I know he currently takes lessons. I know he's very active in his voice. I am going to still talk about my preferences right now within him. And this is going to be something that I'm curious you didn't bring up. Okay. The reason I'm bringing this up is because of worship leading, in the sense that we have to do multiple services most of the time. We have to sing long 17-minute songs a lot of the time. So there is a reality of needing some vocal longevity. And I want to point out some things that I think are maybe going to hinder him with that. Just specifically here.
Keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you.
The Lord turn his... So he does this like... it's a pinch is what's happening. Instead of the Lord turn his... Because he does it later.
It's actually called a glottal attack,
right? And
it's also vocal fry.
Yes.
And a lot of people, especially in the U.S., kind of talk like this all the time.
Yes.
And you know, it's really not good for our voices. You can ask any speech therapist or vocal pathologist, all that kind of, they're going to say that people speaking in vocal fry is a legitimate issue.
Yep.
But as singers and as people who use literally rely on our voices to do what we do all the time, we have to think about all that kind of stuff. And I understand, one of the things though that I like about Cody Carnes is because I know he has a little bit of breath, and sometimes it sounds like he's pinching a little bit, but it also sounds real. That way when he's talking.
Yes.
He sounds... How he talks and how he sings are very similar.
Yes.
It's like Chris Brown right behind him, right?
Absolutely.
Chris Brown, you hear him talk and you hear him sing and they sound very similar. He's not like totally changing.
Putting on a voice.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say Carrie Jobe is the same. She has a very unique voice, but it's exactly how she sounds when she talks. So the reason I wanted to rip that Band-Aid off and say it is because there's a practical aspect to worship leading, which is singing being like our voices are our instrument, right? So we need them to work. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because yes, Cody Carnes goes on to sing this song beautifully, and he goes on to sing like live beautifully, but he could be tired, right? There could, and for you and I, we also have these roles to play in worship leading, which is using our voices, and they need to work. And so if you're experiencing any sort of fatigue, think about that. Think of how you're starting phrases. Are you starting them with air, or are you kind of pinching off with that glottal stop? Because it could tire you out.
This is a fun exercise I've been doing with my students lately. Imagine for a moment you're about to sing that. The Lord bless you. Just that one line. But before you start singing, I want you to feel, pay attention to what you feel. I'm about to sing that. Does something pinch right here?
Right.
Does something start squeezing? Because you'd be amazed. That thing squeezing doesn't actually have to squeeze. It doesn't actually help you in any way. And in fact, it's tiring you out.
Yes.
In fact, it's squeezing and pinching your voice in a way that it doesn't need help. It's like if I wanted to buzz my lips, I can do that. But I can also...
Right.
And if more I do that, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be not natural to how
it's just unnecessary.
My voice actually functions.
Yeah.
Totally unnecessary. So, there are ways that we can do all this stuff. Like I've been singing Run to the Father for a long time, and for a long time it was killing my voice. It was a beast. I had to figure out how to sing it without pinching, without, every single time, because it just hangs out up there. Yeah. So, I recently kind of figured it out a little bit, but it's just tough.
Yeah, totally. Tough. So that's just something I'm hearing, practical advice for if you're struggling with something like maybe fatigue or your voice is tired. Food for thought.
If you have a service on Saturday night and then like 3 services on Sunday, this is a reality that you have to show up for every single service and give your best to God. Yeah, that's part of the deal. That's our job as worship leaders.
Absolutely. And I also want to acknowledge too, like there is obviously an emotive part to what we do. And so it sounds like that. I mean, this is the first time they're singing this song. It's an incredible song. And so I don't want to diminish that he is emoting as well too. And there's times for that. And we talk about that a lot on this channel. Like there's times when, technique goes out the window and you have to just do what you need to do in the moment. But I just want to say, on a long scale of things, when you're doing it over and over again, just be careful with your voice.
And we hear it in Cody Carnes singing other stuff too.
Absolutely.
It's something that we hear in his voice.
Yeah.
So.
But he's incredible.
But he's still incredible.
He's actually
there's
one of my favorites.
Nobody's arguing that.
No.
Yeah.
Because he does it there.
It's beautiful.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.
As a male, is that high?
Kind of, yeah.
And how do you approach it?
So the only way I was able to get any traction for like Run to the Father is I had to do what I called like Novocaine face, where I swallow, I relax everything. Lord, turn his face toward you. And that's not supposed to like sound really good, but it is supposed to kind of help me let go of this, let go of my jaw, let go of all of these things. And then I can start, the Lord turn his face toward you. And I can start to really focus on phrasing. I can really start to bring that kind of stuff together. Obviously I think it's all about spending time with it and then paying attention. Yeah. If your voice is shot after you sing one song or even a whole service, is that something that you should probably look into or try to fix? Yep. I would say yes. Yeah. And that's the bottom line. The bottom line is, do you lose your voice often? Yeah. Are you vocally really tired after leading worship? all of that kind of stuff. Because we don't believe that you have to do that.
Right.
We think that that's kind of unnecessary. You can lead worship fully with energy, with all that kind of stuff, and still have a voice at the end of the day, because the 9 o'clock service or the 11 o'clock service deserves the same amount of fullness and singing from you that the 9 o'clock service got, right?
Yep.
So I think it's about giving your best, and you don't need to it's not about saving your voice, it's just about using it efficiently.
Absolutely. I think that we can approach it similarly to people who sing on Broadway and people who sing in touring, performing shows, because it's the same type of thing that we're doing, where we're singing long, difficult pieces of music and over again, multiple times a week. And so there's a stamina that's required for that. And that's mainly the reason we want to do these videos, is because we feel like there's an actual need, because we've lost our voices, we have struggled, and we know. I think the worst part is that we know what to do better. We know what to do differently.
And we're not perfect by any means.
Exactly, and you still do it.
We kind of know how to get to where we want to go, and we just hope that other people who are doing the same kinds of things, if you're leading worship, that you want to do better as well. Yeah,
and we hope that this can help you kind of just figure out how to help yourself if this is something you struggle with. If you've lost your voice and you need more stamina, try to consider some of these things that we're going to talk about and pick through. So let's keep going.
Amen. 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 The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you.
One of the things he does so well are his vowels.
Oh yeah.
Shine, shine, shine. It's just such a bright vowel and forward vowel that really helps.
He's got so much resonance.
Absolutely.
It's just, and it's that, a lot of people are really afraid of sounding brash and nasal.
Yeah.
But I think you need it.
You do.
Make his face shine upon you. Right? And this is something I think he does so well, but also Carrie Jobe.
Yes.
The reason why she's so powerful and she's able to do the things that she does is because she keeps all of her sound right up here.
Oh my gosh.
There's a term called the singer's mask, which is all your sinuses as well as, your nose and your mouth, all of that working together. If you have a really nasally voice or whatever,
right.
That's more of a balance issue than it is a problem. It's not really a problem. You want that same resonance. You just need more fullness.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just some pure genius right there.
Genius.
Let's keep going.
Lord, turn his face toward you and give you peace. As we receive, we agree. Amen. 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 Amen.
Look at her. Look at her mouth. Look at her mouth. Because she's
Oh,
singing.
yeah.
She's singing that note, right?
Yeah.
Amen. That's pretty high for
Yeah.
worship singing.
Yeah.
Like, just in general, like, that's a choral. And she's just got such a great, like, resonance for that.
When she says, it's this big. It's not,
Exactly.
right? The other thing, and we're only pointing this out because this is something that everybody does.
Yes.
Glottal attack. It's, amen, amen, amen. That's basically a tiny cough.
Cough, yep.
And if you're doing that when you're singing, you'd be amazed how many times you're coughing.
Yeah.
And that's going to wear out your voice. I actually recently, I've been having my own vocal issues lately, and I went to a speech therapist, and that was a big thing that she was saying. Even just when I talk, I'll stop my voice like that all the time. And so when we do it when we talk, okay, but also when you're doing it when you're singing, that's more air coming through.
Oh, yeah.
You're right? That's a lot of air pressure going on your vocal folds, and it's just gonna tire you out.
And I think so. What is the solution? The solution is air. Air needs
Start
to
with air.
Start with air, and start with, for example, amen is a great warm up. Even this, honestly, like this chorus right here is a great warm up because it starts on a vowel that is really vulnerable. Right? There's no like, it's not like amen. You know what I mean? Where you have like a consonant. You are full open vowel. So we do the glottal stop, I think, as a comfort to ourselves because it's kind of like a place to start from. But when you just have a vowel and you just have air, it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're just literally like, okay, I've got the vowel, I'm ready, I've got my air going, now I just have to sing. You don't have anything to like go off of.
Yeah.
And so I would practice literally doing that, just opening your mouth, making sure you've got the vowel ready, and you've got your airflow going, and then just singing the and kind of work with that and like experiment with the idea of that because it is vulnerable.
Yeah. And I wouldn't don't even sing like I think about what's a really forward is like one I use in my lessons is sky. That's the we want, where it's a lot more forward. Amen. It's not
That's true.
Right?
It's not like father.
It's not father, right? It's, that gets so swallowed so quickly. And it's going to be a lot more difficult than just amen. You don't need that much space, and in fact, that much space is going to make it a lot harder.
Can you sing the difference between the two with a glottal and without?
Oh. Amen. Amen.
Absolutely.
So
I would say,
I even start with, training wheels would be amen, where you start with an H sound. Like you don't want to actually sing like that, but this is, we're talking about practice here. We're talking about how to create these habits. And I even just think about breathing out the whole time I'm singing. I'm just take that nice little breath and I just breathe out.
His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children.
She's just speaking.
Yeah.
Like she's just speaking. It sounds like she's speaking. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like literally if she were to start talking, it would sound the
Almost
same
exactly the
as
same.
what she's doing.
The same
'Cause where
resonance,
she is,
the same fullness, the same, she's got no tension. She's not making, may his favor be upon you. A lot of people take off their talking hat and they say, okay, now I am singing.
Exactly.
And she's not. Especially I loved the close-up because you can see her neck, her jaw, all that kind of stuff.
May his favor be upon you.
Absolutely.
And 1,000 generations. She doesn't take a break there.
Breathing out.
She's just breathing out and she's just speaking. And especially where that sits in her register, that's probably pretty close to her speaking voice too. And I think so an exercise you can do with with practicing this song is to literally just speak it. Don't take the pitch away from it. Take the notes away from it and just speak through these lines how you would say them. And that helps you kind of connect your breath to the words and the phrases, which will then help you when you're adding pitch, because it's literally the only difference, right?
Yep.
The only difference between singing and speaking is pitch and a little bit of the length of phrase, right?
Yeah.
But you still need the airflow that you do when you talk, and you still need that like relaxed support is what I'll call it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too. You're always trying to bring the vowel forward. May his favor be upon you for 1,000, right? It's not may his favor be upon you. May his favor. Everything's really forward, really nice right here.
Yeah.
Cool.
May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children.
And it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the exact same.
She's approaching it the same. She's not doing anything more here. She's just giving it air, and it's coming out freely.
And it's a new pitch.
Ugh.
It's just a different pitch, yeah.
May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you. He is with you in the morning and the evening, in your coming and your going, in your weeping and rejoicing. He is for you. 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 Amen. We receive it.
Blech. I'm crying. Okay.
Okay, now she's crying.
Now I'm crying.
Yeah, I got
Now
chills.
I'm crying.
I get chills every time I listen to this recording.
I had to stop it because I have something really important to say, unless you do.
Great, go for it.
So I think, especially as ladies and within worship leading, Carrie Jobe is kind of this anomaly, and I think people think, oh, she just sings high because she can, and it just sounds that way because she's anointed, and they kind of diminish any effort that she has or any sort of technical things that are going on. And I'm here to say, I think that she is extremely intentional in how she sings. And if you are a singer that thinks, oh my gosh, this is so high, this is way too high, I'm going to sound like I'm in my head voice, I'm going to sound like super weak, I'm going to sound, I'm either have to scream it and then I'm going to hurt my voice, or I'm going to sound really weak. Well, what I think she's doing here is I think she has that nasal resonance that we talk about a ton on this channel, that nasal resonance. So she's got the really forward vowels. She's got a lot of her sound coming through this mask part of her voice. And I think she's sending a ton of air.
Yeah.
I don't think that she is belting. I don't think she's just purely singing in her head voice. I think she's mixing, and I think she's mixing in the best way possible because she's got as much air as she does when she's singing lower.
Yeah.
And but she has that vowel, that forward vowel placement. Yeah.
It's to me, when I listen to my voice while I'm singing like that, it's brash, it's bright, it's a little uncomfortable. And if you've ever listened to your voice in a recording, it's how we think it sounds and how it actually sounds. They're not the same thing.
Yes.
So having that amen might feel uncomfortable, might feel too bright, too forward, too nasal.
Absolutely.
But go listen to it.
Well, and
see
like
how it sounds.
That bridge specifically. May his favor be upon you in 1,000 generations. That's like head voice. It's a lot of us can sing that.
Yeah.
But how does she give it that power? Well, it's energy and air and vowel.
Yeah.
May his favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, in your family, and your children, and their children. Like I'm still in the same part of my voice,
Yeah.
but I've engaged my core and I still have those like children.
Yeah.
Children. And I'm
Right?
not saying I'm perfect. I have a
No.
lot to work on too. Chase is already voice teaching me in his head right
Oh
now.
no,
I can see
no,
him. I'm
no,
just
I wasn't. So all we want to say is that this is a process, and
Absolutely.
and you got to give grace for that. But the only place she's working hard physically is here.
Yes.
It's her belly.
Absolutely.
She's sending air the entire time. This is not where she's working hard.
Nope.
And if you're working hard here, you might want to rethink it. I think that's
Absolutely.
our ultimate
That's our
point,
biggest point.
is that we are trying to do this ourselves. We're trying
Yes.
to practice this ourselves. We're trying to have the same kinds of fullness and
Efficiency
power
and
and
power, yeah.
efficiency. And that's why we watch, this kind of stuff, is because we want to know how Carrie Jobe does it. And we want to
Absolutely.
know how to do it ourselves and how to bring it into our church. Because we believe it's more effective worship leading.
Absolutely.
How do I be skilled in my instrument? And I think this is part of it.
And I think so. Some practical things you can do, I would say, are to record yourself and experiment with what we're talking about. Experiment with, that resonance,
Yeah.
singing it truly in your head voice. What does that sound like to you? Does it sound weak? Okay. How do I give it a little bit more energy? Well, engage my core. What does that sound like to you? Does it sound brash? Okay. Just
Have more
listening to
vowels.
yourself. Yes.
When she goes, yeah, it's eh.
Yeah, eh.
And that's
Absolutely.
what cuts. That's what sounds so crazy and powerful and full.
Yep.
So give it a shot.
Absolutely. I think we're just going to listen to the very end of this, but we're not going to listen to the whole thing. I just want to close this video.
Our kids
for
are
sure.
waking up, so.
She's so much.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's so
yeah,
good.
It's so good.
What was that that part right just before this? May his presence go before you and behind.
Yeah.
That's something that Brandon Lake does really,
yeah.
really well. And I think that's just because of his natural southern drawl.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like behind,
Around.
around.
All
It has
around, yeah.
all around you, right?
So
it has
good.
that nasal resonance, and that's what makes it just cut.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how much easier it is to sing like this. Keep your sinuses open all around you and within you.
Yeah.
It should be coming from this whole thing right here. If you're feeling anything, don't let it be here. Don't let it be here. Let it be here.
Absolutely.
Let it be in your belly. Like that kind of stuff is what really is going to make your voice, project, be
Yeah.
efficient, and you're not going to wear it out.
Wear it out. I think it's cool too to see her like literally jumping and singing
That's so good.
and like have that energy. I don't have that ability. I'm working on that myself. And the way you practice that is to literally do it. Like
Yeah.
you have to, like, if you have a treadmill, maybe like walk on the treadmill and sing or something. Like that's how like people in Broadway practice
Yeah.
while they have to do like really and crazy running and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I always forget is how physically demanding worship leading can be, especially in the moment. And if it hinders your singing, which is like how we show up to lead, then we have to work on that outside of it, and we have to come prepared. So
Yeah.
I just think she's absolutely insane and
Oh my
incredible.
gosh.
Like
I think they all are. Chris
Oh my
Brown
gosh.
is one of my favorites. Carrie Jobe is amazing. I love Cody Carnes as well. So this is why we watch these things, is because we want to know how to lead our congregation better, and we hope that this video helps you do that as well.
Absolutely. So we hope that this video helped you and that you enjoyed it and learned something. If you happen to be new to our channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified next time that we post. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.